Here are 15 random facts about the NHL, Episode 2. Nathan Horton was once credited with a goal in a game that he never actually played in, and you may be asking how. Well, in 2014, the Blue Jackets were playing the Stars and were up 1-0 from a Nathan Horton goal when Rich Peverly collapsed on the Dallas Stars bench due to an irregular heartbeat, and the game was cancelled and postponed to a later date. The makeup game was a full 3-period 60-minute game, except it started with a score of 1-0 for the Blue Jackets due to the goal that Nathan Horton had in the first period of the original matchup. Nathan Horton would miss the makeup game with a lower body injury, so at the end of the game, the box score read Nathan Horton 0 time on ice, 1 goal. Before the NHL implemented sudden death overtime, in the event that two teams were tied at the end of regulation, they would then play a 10-minute overtime period, and the team with the most goals at the end of the period would win the game. This is a situation the Toronto Maple Leafs found themselves in 1934 against the Ottawa Senators, tied 4-4 heading into overtime. Ken Doherty, member of the Toronto Maple Leafs at the time, was never known for his goal-scoring abilities. In fact, he only had 15 total goals throughout his entire NHL career. But in that overtime period, Ken Doherty channeled his inner sniper, scoring the only hat trick in overtime history, leading the Leafs to a 7-4 victory. That is obviously an NHL record that will never be broken just due to the current rules. When NHL legend Pavel Datsyuk's friend told him he'd been drafted to play in the NHL, he didn't believe him, so his friend actually had to go and bring the newspaper to Datsyuk to prove it to him. This is honestly pretty crazy considering how things are right now, where when the draft concludes, the results are online immediately. But this does make sense because Datsyuk was a very late pick, and back then technology was nowhere near what it is today. Steve Yzerman once had a pretty close call while the team was on a road trip. He and a few other teammates were wrestling on the 20th floor of a hotel, which in itself doesn't seem like the greatest idea. During all this, Steve Yzerman jumped at Darren McCarty to try and tackle him, but McCarty got out of the way and Stevie hit the window full on, full force, but thankfully the glass held. That could have ended up being a pretty ugly incident if the glass broke. Former NHL player Joel Ward was once trapped in a bathroom stall in Dallas during a road trip. Apparently the latch wouldn't turn because the bolt was stripped, so he took to Twitter and asked for help. Carl Alsner and Braden Holtley eventually spent over a half hour trying to get him out. Eventually they had to just find a ladder and help him climb over the top. NHL legend and Hockey Hall of Famer Patrick Waugh would regularly talk to his post throughout the entirety of a game as if they were actually interviewing him, as if we didn't already have enough reasons to think that goaltenders are weird. Many people believe the biggest reason Jamie Benn was selected so late in the draft was because he was also a pretty decent baseball prospect, and at the time teams didn't know which way he was gonna go. In the storied history of the Los Angeles Kings franchise, they have actually won more Stanley Cups than division titles. In the 2016-17 season, Radko Gudas had more 5v5 points than Claude Giroux did in 15 less games. That's pretty crazy to think about considering the reputation both of these guys have. Sidney Crosby is very superstitious, and obviously everyone knows the reason why he wears number 87, and a fun fact is he's actually the 86th player in NHL history to ever reach 1,000 points. But technically, Wayne Gretzky actually did it twice, that making Sidney Crosby the 87th player to achieve that mark. Everybody knows how good Pavel Datsyuk was, but a fun fact is he had actually only ever had one hat-trick in his NHL career. Last night, the Colorado Avalanche won their 7th straight road game and matched the longest such run in franchise history that was set in the 1998-99 season. Last night, Artemi Panarin became the 4th player in New York Rangers history to post multiple point streaks of 12 or more games in a single season, joining Brian Leetch, Wayne Gretzky, and Jaromir Jagr. Mikael Granlund is just the 4th player in NHL history to score a game-tying goal in the final 10 seconds of regulation and go on to score the overtime winner, joining the likes of Marian Gaborik, Marco Sturm, and Neil Broughton. During the 2002 Salt Lake City Olympics, Jerome McGinley struck up a conversation with 4 fans sitting next to his table and found out that they were sleeping in their car. He excused himself from the conversation and booked them at his own expense at the hotel his family was staying in. As if we didn't already have enough reasons to love Jerome McGinley, he's just such a nice dude. That is going to do it for this week's edition of 15 random facts about the NHL. Again, like I said last week, these are a ton of fun for me to make, so if you guys are enjoying them and you want to see more, make sure to smash that like button. That's the best way to show your support. If you guys are new and want to see more NHL content like this, make sure to click that subscribe button, and I will see you guys all in the next video.